Drawn sword here from New Zealand. Today I'm inking Crom the Courageous, a comic that writer Ron Parsons and I are doing, our own adaptation or our own flavour, our own version of Gardner Fox's creation, Crom the Barbarian from the 1950s, first barbarian comic out there in the mainstream. The character came out before Conan did in comic form, but yeah, Gardner Fox is the dude who's famous for creating Batman's utility belt. But he wrote a few sword and sorcery type novels, and there were only actually three Crom the Barbarian comics produced, but the character became public domain, and so we're doing our own take on the character, and just basing it on, because in the Gardner Fox story, Crom becomes a king, so we're basing ours on the adventures when he's a king. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is actually page 17 that I'm working on right here, a double splash page, just one corner of it, so it's not really spoiling anything. Yeah, there's quite a few people now that he's become public domain who are making Crom works, writing and drawing comics. He's kind of a rip-off of Conan. I guess he's different enough. You can just make what you will with him. But yeah, it's a fun exercise in collaborating with a writer, as I've always wanted to have a go at that. Yeah, it's quite good having someone focus on the story and really get that tight and good, because I write myself, but it takes a long time to to figure something out and to get it just right, and you're constantly changing things up, and you're never quite sure, you know, and like there's enough time devoted to getting the art right, you know. So it's a mammoth task if you write and draw your own stuff, but you know, I do enjoy doing that as well, so it's just nice to collaborate with someone, and you know, I think you actually come up with pretty cool ideas when you've got someone else to work with in the story department, you know, because I've found that I've come up with things, you know, I've been able to add little bits here and there, or think of things that the writer didn't think of, and it's like, hey, that just makes perfect sense to the story, you know, that really works. And I think that's important, you know, that no one gets into this ego crap about it, you know, that, you know, if someone gets a great idea to make the story better, yeah, jump on it, go with it, you know, it's the best thing for the story. This is not actually a Crom that I'm drawing here. This is actually a giant, and the whole battle scene here is all giants. Crom comes up to about their knee height. That's how big they are. Yeah, Crom the Courageous is set in Earth's morning, which is like a, you know, an alternative history of Earth and an ancient continent where the Earth was, where most of the continents are joined together. I hope to make a map of it one day, but I'm inking this with crow quill here. I'm using the G-nib, the zebra comic G-nib, which I find really good. It's I find it easier to use than the Hunt 102 crow quill nib, which seems to be quite favoured by the old school comic artists, inkers, and you know, I've used it too, and it is really good, but I find the G-nib doesn't clog up as easily, and you can draw a circle with it, you know, and it doesn't catch. It's just a lot more, it just flows easier. I've also changed my paper. I used to draw with cartridge paper, and now I use smooth Bristol, which I find really nice because you can basically go hard in the pencil stage and do a lot of erasing, and it doesn't wreck the paper. With a cartridge paper, I couldn't do that. I'd have to draw on separate pieces of paper to get something right, and then trace it through to the final piece so I didn't disturb the paper. But now I find that I can just go rough on the Bristol. It erases good off it, and yeah, it's just good. there's actually a finer nib than this one. This is the G nib. But there's actually one called, I think it was called an A nib by the Zebra comic. I don't know, it's all in Chinese. I can't read Chinese, but yeah, I think that's what they call it with English. I'm surprised people that I don't see these more often, or people talking about them, because I tried so hard with the hunt, but I couldn't get much joy out of it. But this is the one that's the A nib. It's got an A there. But these are really fine. Actually, I can give that a go. This is it here. I've got one. This one here. You can get such a fine line with it. There's quite a variety. So it's really good for, especially if you're drawing small. If you've got a fiddly little panel to work on and you want to get in there and do their eyelashes or eyebrows or just some fine detail, you can get in there with this and do it. It's better than a fine liner. And of course, using Indian ink, it isn't going to wear off when you erase the pencils. It doesn't erase off. This is really solid and stays black. I'm using the super black Indian ink that's made in the USA. I find that, from the few that I've tried, I find this one has a nice black as black, and that's what I want. I don't want these faded out ones, and I don't want the shiny one. This is the book that my comic's in, with writer Ron Parsons. This Crom anthology. It just came out at the end of last year. Number 1. And it's just filled with all kinds of Crom comics and stories, sword and sorcery type stories. This is a bit of mine, Crom the Courageous, in there. So if you want to get it, go here,